All right, Congressman Bob Goodlatte this weekend calling on the former CIA chief, John Brennan, to testify to Congress on his role in this Russia witch hunt hoax. Here with reaction, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, who deserves a big pat on the back tonight, former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy. Let's go to that particular point and get your reaction, and more importantly, just get your general reaction to what we learned today. Well, look, Saturday night, the Saturday night dump.
Right. You know, look, on the security clearances, I think anybody who abuses their security clearance, whether it's to politicize intelligence or to leak intelligence, if they find out that you did that, you should get your clearance yanked. I don't like seeing the debate about it get politicized.
It's too late. They politicized.
Well,
did Hillary? Let's go to the beginning. Did Hillary violate the Espionage Act?
I think she did. Yes.
Okay. When she deleted and bleach bit and beat up her devices, did that obstruction after it was subpoenaed?
Yeah, the documents were, the stuff was under congressional subpoena.
And did they not turn, top FBI officials turn on Trump in a way that is unprecedented and use their power against an opposition party candidate to stop him with an insurance policy?
I think they weaponized the intelligence and the law enforcement apparatus of the government throughout the Obama
Trump
administration, but they certainly did.
And did they lie to FISA court judges not once but 4 times?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, they didn't, with respect to the dossier, it was not corroborated. And when they said it was verified,
the law demand that?
Well, their own policies demand it. Their own policies say that they're not supposed to give. Then, well, yes, the law demands that you provide accurate information to a court. It doesn't require that it be verified and corroborated, but their procedures
Rod
require
Rosenstein
that.
said that if not, there are going to be consequences. I played that tonight.
Well, let's see if there are.
I'm not holding my breath. Tom, go through the same list of questions in your mind. Start with Hillary, end up with lying to the FISA court judges 4 times with Russian propaganda paid for by an opposition party.
Well, you know, it doesn't take a lot to yank a security clearance. The deep state's been playing the security clearance game with the Trump administration since it's come into office, denying, pulling, punishing those who are deemed too close to Trump by pulling security clearances or delaying them. But when it comes to Comey and McCabe, it's a no-brainer. Both were fired for misconduct. Brennan, Yates, I would include Yates in this, by the way. Clapper. Clapper's accused of lying, quite credibly, and the basis for pulling a security clearance is credible derogatory information. And it's hard to say that there's no credible derogatory information. You got Clapper, who kind of admits to lying. You have Brennan, who is accused in a book of leaking purposely the dossier to Harry Reid with the hopes it gets leaked out to the media.
That's all true.
Yeah,
So he, as CIA director, is telling a politician about something that was Russian lies, bought and paid for. The CIA director is spreading Russian lies as CIA director. Does he deserve a security clearance?
And Susan Rice had a number of explanations, contradictory explanations about her involvement in unmaskings. You know,
I was reading all weekend how I was unmasked and surveilled.
It's fair to ask the question about whether these...
And if he did do it, or if anybody I find out did this illegally, I will sue them and hire the best legal team, including Andy, on the planet to go after them. All right, let me go back to you. Wasn't this all about Russian lies paid for, disseminated, propagated, lying to courts? Wasn't this all about lying to the American people with Russian lies of all things?
I think it was about pushing the envelope as far as you could push it.
You're being too nice.
No, I'm saying for the politics of the election, and I think they did it because, number one, the FISA stuff is classified, and number two, they were sure Hillary was going to win, and no one was ever going to be any the wiser.
But did they, if I lied to a court, where would I be now?
You'd be in
jail.
Probably be in jail.
If I destroyed subpoenaed information, what would happen to me?
The normal.
Meanwhile, the man identified by the Obama administration as a Russian agent walks free tonight. He is a living rebuke to this whole grotesque hoax. He is Carter Page, and he joins us live tonight. Carter Page, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
So this application repeatedly describes you as an agent of the Russian government, repeatedly. Are you aware of any criminal charges pending against you? Do you expect to be charged for working for the Russian government?
Not only am I not aware of it, Tucker, there's also the fact that no question I've ever been asked by the FBI in terms of any of these fake theories related to the dossier, as you're alluding to. None of those made any sense whatsoever. So there's not even a premise by which I could even conceivably be charged. So it's absolutely ridiculous.
And yet there are specifics from the dossier. Apparently, this comes from the dossier, but the application accuses you of meeting with two Russian officials, both named Igor Sechin and Igor Divyekin. Did you meet with either one of those men?
I never met with them in my life, ever. Yep.
Do you believe that that allegation comes from the Steele dossier?
Absolutely. It's funny, in July of 2016, 2 months before the Yahoo News article came out, I started getting these calls from various news reporters, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, all asking me about these same two names of people I've never even heard of in my, I had heard of Sechin, I never even heard of Divyekin. And so it was obvious, and some people told me from the media that they heard about it from the Clinton campaign, et cetera, but, So finally they found someone to put it out in 45 days before the election in Yahoo News,
So the Clinton campaign, of course, learned about it from Christopher Steele, whom they were paying to gather this dossier. And it's my understanding, too, from the testimony in recent months that Steele never visited Russia, never bothered to go to Russia as he assembled this dossier. Is that correct?
That's my understanding as well. And, there's a number of lawsuits going on, and Mr. Gubarev down in Southern District of Florida. So
right.
Hopefully these civil, yes, I know. Hopefully these civil cases can get to the bottom of this. And it's
but
great.
Yet at the same time, now we learn that in October of 2016, really at the height of the intensity of the presidential campaign, Christopher Steele, on the payroll of the Clinton campaign, briefs officials at the State Department. And that briefing apparently was used as one of the pretexts for spying on you. Am I connecting those dots correctly?
That's my understanding, Tucker. And, just based on this, these 400-plus pages of documents, there's a lot in there about media. It's sort of quoting a lot of media sources. And, I've talked with a couple of former assistant U.S. attorneys, et cetera, and no one has ever heard of anything like this in terms of this type of a court filing. It's just absolutely preposterous in terms of their sources. So,
one of the reasons I find this story so fascinating is because you are an actual person, an American, a Naval Academy graduate, and you're willing to talk in public. It's amazing to me that you have been the target of this surveillance and lived to tell the tale. You're not being charged, as you said, and I think you're probably right. What has it done to your life? How do you feel knowing that the federal government was spying on your personal life for a year?
Tucker, it's absolutely outrageous, but I have to say I'm very happy to have gotten the finally, 14 months later, the FBI answered my FOIA requests. This weekend, we started having a little bit of transparency. Obviously, there's 100-plus pages of blacked out information, and I think, it's just starting the process in terms of getting to the real truth of these crimes that were committed against American democracy with this abusive process in the FISA court. So.
But really committed against you. I mean, your government, on the basis of no actual evidence, has accused you of treason and spied on you as a result. I mean, how does that, as someone who served your country in the military as a naval officer, how does that make you feel?
Well, my bigger concern is, there's obviously big problems in the U.S. Department of Justice. There are these false court pleadings, the false court pleadings that U.S. Attorney Berman has put in terms of my civil case against Broadcasting Board of Governors. But the bigger issue, which is my bigger concern, is the complete failure of the U.S. intelligence community in terms of looking at this Russia issue. If this is what they're using...
Well, it sounds like they Sounds like they succeeded, actually. I don't know if it's a failure. They had a very specific goal in mind, and they've achieved it. That's why we're talking about it today.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
hamstrung the workings of government for a year and a half. Carter Page, you're a lot more forgiving than I would be in your position. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Tucker.